So guys, welcome to our channel once again. In today's video on our JAMB biology exam revision series, we are going to consider 20 questions on probability in genetics and sex determination. So we are going to consider these questions one after the other. So in any case where you feel you want to answer the question before we provide the answer, guys, you can simply pause the video at that point and then go ahead and answer the question before we provide the answer right after. So let's start with the first question, guys. The question says, which of the following statements about sex determination is correct? A, the vigor of either parents determine the sex of the offspring. B, the XX chromosomes of the mother decreases the probability of having a female child to 3/4. C, the Y chromosome of the father decreases the probability of having a male child to 1/4. And D, the probability of male to female offspring is 1/2. So guys, the answer to this question is option D, and that's the probability of the male to female is 1/2. So we know that the female has an XX chromosome, whereas the male has an XY chromosome. So guys, in sex determination, we'll consider the fact that the female can only give an X chromosome in order to produce an offspring, whereas the male can either give an X or a Y chromosome, since the male has both an X and a Y chromosome. So guys, this entails that in sex determination, it is what the male gives that actually determines what the sex of the offspring will be. So in this case, there are just two possible outcomes. So it's either the male gives an X or a Y. So if the male gives an X, it means the offspring will be a female. Whereas if the male gives a Y, it means the offspring will be a male. So in that case, there are just two possible outcomes. And guys, the probability of male to female in this case is 1/2, which entails that it can either be a male or a female. So let's look at the next question, and that's question number 2. It says, in a dihybrid cross, the parents A carry same pair of alleles for all traits. B carry same pair of alleles for each trait. C carry different pair of alleles for each trait. D carry different pair of alleles for all traits. So guys, the answer to this question is option C, and that's carry different pair of alleles for each trait. So a dihybrid cross is actually a cross between two different genes that differ in two observed traits. So it entails that there are different pair of alleles for each of these traits. So guys, that's what this entails, and the correct answer to this question is option C. So let's look at the next question. Question number 3. It says, if a heterozygous red flowered plant, that's RR heterozygous, was self-fertilized, the offspring will be expected to be A, red flowered, white flowered plants. B, white flowered, red flowered plants. C, all white flowered. D, all red flowered. So guys, the answer to this question is option A, and that's because if we are to check out the genotypic ratio, we'll have 1:2:1, where we simply have one homozygous red flower and then two heterozygous red flower and then one homozygous white flower. So guys, the correct answer to this question is option A, and that's red flowered, white flowered plants, because they will reflect both the red flower and the white flower. So guys, let's look at the next question, and that's question number 4. The question says, when a colorblind man marries a carrier woman, what is the probability of their offspring being colorblind? So we have A 50%, B 75%, C 25%, and D 100%. So guys, when a colorblind man marries a carrier woman, the probability of their offspring being colorblind is 50%. That's 1 out of 2. So guys, if you are still wondering how we got to this, we can simply just show you how this can be done. So all you simply need to do is to just make a cross, and here we'll say let the colorblind be homozygous small letter c. That's homozygous recessive cc here. So we can say let the carrier be heterozygous c. So let's have a capital C and a small c. So guys, if we make a cross here, we'll cross this first small c with the first capital C, and we'll have capital C and small c. Then again, we'll go with the first small c with the next small c. So we'll have small c, small c. So we'll go with the small c and the capital C. We'll have capital C, small c, and then we'll go with the small c and small c. So we'll have small c, small c. So guys, you'll see that you will have 2 heterozygous and then 2 homozygous here, and then 2 of these are carriers and the other is 2 of the other are colorblind. So guys, this shows that there will be 50-50 or 1/2. So guys, the answer to this question is 50%, and that's option A. So let's go ahead and look at the next question. That's question number 5. It says the sex of a fetus is determined during A, placentation, B, copulation, C, meiosis, and D, fertilization. So guys, it's during fertilization that the sex of a fetus is determined, and that's option D. So fertilization is actually the union of the 2 haploid gametes from the male and the female. So let's look at the next question, guys, and that's question number 6. It says the first 4 children of a couple were all girls. The probability that the 5th will also be a girl is A 1/4, B 1/3, C 1/2, and D 1/5. So guys, the answer to this question is 1/2. So we need to understand that for each baby at each birth, the probability of being a boy or being a girl is always 1/2. So it can either be a boy or a girl. For each of the fertilization, it all depends on the male gamete that fuses with that of the female during fertilization. So if it's an X, then definitely it will be a girl, and if it's a Y, then definitely it's going to be a male. So let's look at the next question, question number 7. The question says the genotypic ratio 1:2:1 in the offspring of a hybrid cross illustrates the law of A, use and disuse, B, segregation, C, linkage, D, dominance. So guys, the answer to this question is option B, and that's segregation. The genotypic ratio 1:2:1 in the offspring of a hybrid cross illustrates the law of segregation. So this law was proposed by Gregor Mendel, and it states that during the formation of reproductive cells, pairs of hereditary factors for a specific trait separate so that offspring receive one factor from each parent. So this results in the 1:2:1 ratio seen in the offspring of a hybrid cross. So let's look at the next question. And that's question number 8. It says, in humans, sex is determined by A, 2 homologous chromosomes, B, the difference in the nature of the X and Y chromosomes in the male, C, a dominant gene for maleness present in the male, and D, 2 similar sex chromosomes in the male and dissimilar in the female. So guys, the correct answer to this question here is option B, and that's difference in the nature of the X and Y chromosomes in the male. So let's go ahead and look at the next question. Question number 9. It says, a man and his wife are both heterozygous for the sickle cell trait. The likely percentage of their offspring that will be either carriers or sicklers is A, 25%, B, 50%, C, 100%, and D, 75%. So guys, again, if we make a cross here, we'll have heterozygous sickle. So let's indicate this as. So guys, looking at this, we'll see here that we'll have 1:2:1 here genotypically. So this is the genotypic ratio here. So this entails that you have 2 carriers here, and then you have 1 sickler here against this 1 which is non-sickler. So guys, if we are to show this as a fraction, this will be 3/4. That's out of this 4, 3 of these will comprise of carriers and sicklers. That's 2 carriers, 1 sickler, making it 3 out of these 4. So guys, if we have to put this in percentage, 3/4 times 100 is 75%. So let's look at the next question, and that's question number 10. The question says, a man who has the ability to taste phenylcarbamide marries a woman who cannot taste phenylcarbamide. The probability of their children to taste phenylcarbamide will be A, 75-25, B, 50-50, C, 100, and then D, 25-75. So guys, the answer to this question is option B, and that's 50-50. So let's look at the next question. Question number 11. It says, a woman with the ability to roll her tongue, that's heterozygous T, marries a man who cannot roll his tongue, that's homozygous small t. So what is the probability of each of their offspring being a tongue roller? So guys, we represent tongue roller with a capital T and small t, and that's heterozygous T, and then not being able to roll is a small t, small t. So this shows that we have to actually make a cross here, and that's, if we make this cross, we'll have capital T and the small t, that's heterozygous T here, and then we'll have small t, that's homozygous T here. So guys, let's go ahead. We know our usual pattern: cross the first with the first, cross the first with the second, cross the second with the first, and cross the second with the second. So guys, when we do this, we'll notice here that the outcome is 2 heterozygous T and 2 homozygous small t. So guys, it means that 2 of the children will be able to roll their tongue out of 4, and 2 will not be able to roll their tongue out of 4. So the tongue rollers will be 2/4, and if we want to find that in percentage, that will be 2/4 times 100, and that's 1 over 2 times 100, and that's 50%, guys. So let's look at the next question, guys. The next question is question number 12. It says, if both parents are heterozygous for a trait, the probability that an offspring will be recessive for that trait is A, 1 over 4, B, 1 over 2, C, 1, and D, 3 over 4. So guys, in this type of question, once you see this question, just know that once you have a heterozygous parent that is crossed with another heterozygous parent, the outcome will always be one homozygous dominant, one homozygous recessive, and then two heterozygous. So guys, that's always the case in this manner. That's out of the 4 outcomes. So if we are asked how many, or the probability for being homozygous recessive, that's 1 out of 4, and it's 1 over 4, and that's A here. So if you also ask for homozygous dominant, it will also be 1 out of 4, and that's 1 over 4, and that's option A here. But if we were asked for heterozygous, it will just be 2. It will be 2 over 4, and that's 1 over 2, and that would have been a B. But guys, another way to do this, but it's going to take you time, is to start doing the crossing. So guys, let's look at the next question. Question number 13. It says, a homozygous condition, HBS results in sickle cell anemia, whereas HBA and HBS has the sickling trait. What is the probability that a couple with the sickling trait will give birth to one normal child? So guys, a couple with the sickling trait means that they are heterozygous, and that's AS and AS. So guys, in this case, like I told you, once you have 2 heterozygous given in a cross, they will always produce one dominant homozygote, and then they will produce 2 heterozygous, and then they will produce 1 recessive homozygous. So guys, in this case, we don't need to think about the answer to this question. We just know that the answer to this question will be 1 over 4. So guys, if we need to solve this out, let's go AS and then AS. So the first A crosses to the with the first A, and that's AA, and then we have the first A crossing with the second S, and that's AS. We have the second S crossing with the first A, and that's AS. We have the second S crossing with the second S, and that's SS. So guys, we've seen it. Out of 4, only one AA, which is a normal child. So guys, in this case, we have 1 over 4, and that's option C. So let's look at the next question, guys. Question number 14. It says, a tall plant crossed with a dwarf one produces offspring of which half are tall and half are dwarf. So what are the genotype of the parents? So guys, we want to consider the genotype of the parents here. They said a tall plant with a dwarf one produces offspring of which half are tall and half are dwarf. What are the genotypes of the parents? So guys, in order for us to get the answer to this question, we have to make a cross where we have to get an offspring that will give us phenotypically 2 dwarfs and 2 tall plants. So guys, the correct answer to this question is going to be option B, and that's heterozygous T and then homozygous recessive T. So if we want to test this to see if it's correct, let's go with capital T and small t, and then small t, small t. So we'll do capital T, that's the first T, to the first T, and that's capital T small t. We'll go again, the first t to the second t, and that's capital T, small t. We'll go again, the second t to the first t, and that's small t, small t. And then we'll go again, the second t to the second t, and that's small t, small t. So guys, when we check this out, we'll see that we'll have two tall plants and two short plants, and that's half to half. So guys, remember that since the capital T is dominant, the organisms having heterozygous T will show tallness phenotypically. So guys, that's it about this question, and then we'll go again to the next question. That's question number 15, guys. A man who has the trait for color blindness marries a normal woman. What percentage of their offspring will be sufferers, carriers, and normal, respectively? So guys, in this case, they said a man has the trait for color blindness. So this shows that the man is heterozygous for color blindness, and then he marries a normal woman. So guys, this shows that the woman is homozygous for non-color blindness. So let's use color blindness as homozygous recessive C, that's small c, and then let's use the normal person to be homozygous dominant C, that's capital C, and then let's use having the traits. Of course, we know that having the traits will be a heterozygous C, and that's capital C, small c. So guys, in this case, capital C, small c is crossing with capital C, capital C. So if we make the cross here, we'll have first C to the first C, and that's capital C, capital C. So we have first C to the second C, and that's capital C, capital C. So we have second C to the first C, and that's capital C, small c. And then we have second C to the second C, and that's capital C, small c. So guys, there won't be any sufferer, and there will be two carriers and then two normals from what we have here as the answer to this question. So guys, option C will be the answer to this question. No sufferer, that's 0%. So since there are two carriers and two normals, that's 50%, 50%. So guys, let's look at the next question, and that's question number 16. The question says, what determines the sex of an individual in humans? A, the presence of two X chromosomes in females. B, the presence of Y chromosome in males. C, the presence of two Y chromosomes in males. And D, the presence of S chromosomes in females. So guys, I believe you have guessed rightly the answer to this question already. So guys, the answer to this question is option B, and that's the presence of Y chromosomes in male. So guys, we are already heading to the end of this class. I know it's a very long one already, so but just stay cool to the end of this lesson, and I believe you'll really enjoy it. So let's have the next question, guys. But before we go ahead to answer this question, if you're not yet a subscriber to this channel, guys, please hit the subscribe button down below this video and subscribe to this channel so that you can see more of our videos when we upload any video on our JAMB series. So guys, let's look at this question. It says, if a blind man married one-eyed woman and they have 4 children, how many of them would be blind? So guys, the answer to this question is none, because blindness is not genetically transmissible. So it's not a genetic feature, and as such they cannot transmit it to the offspring. So the answer will be none, and that's option A here. We don't need to go through the options here, guys. The answer is none. So let's look at the next question, and that's question number 18. It says, in a plant of genotype TT, that's heterozygous TT, and what is the probability that a gamete will contain gene T, that's the small t? So guys, the answer to this question will be, okay, let's look at the options here. We have 3 over 8, we have 3 over 4, and we have 1 over 2, and we have 1 over 8. So guys, the answer to this question will be 1 over 2, and that's option C. In a plant of genotype TT, that's heterozygous T, the probability that a gamete will contain small t is actually 1 over 2. So let's look at the next question, and that's question number 19. It says, the probability of a baby being a boy or a girl depends on the contribution of the A, mother's X chromosome, B, father's somatic chromosome, B, father's sex cell, D, mother's sex cell. So guys, the answer to this question is option C, and that's the father's sex cell. The father's sex cell is what will determine whether the baby will be a boy or a girl, since the father has the ability to either give an X or a Y, since he has both the X and the Y. So guys, let's look at the next question, and that's the last question. Question number 20. It says, which of the following represents the phenotypic ratio when a plant RR, that's heterozygous R, is crossed with another plant RR, that's heterozygous plant, that's heterozygous R, assuming that the gene R, that's capital R, for round seed is dominant, and then wrinkled, that's the small r, is recessive. So guys, like I told you earlier on, when you have two heterozygous crossings, what you have genotypically is 1:2:1. So the first one there is the dominant homozygous, then the next two heterozygous, and then the last one is the recessive homozygous. So guys, if we are to use that to ascertain the phenotypic ratio, you know that phenotypically, since the heterozygous is having both the dominant and that recessive character, the dominant character will show more, and that means that 2 will be added to this 1, and that's making it 3, and that will be 3:1. So 3 will be having this character phenotypically, and then 1 will be having just the wrinkled seed, and that will give us 3:1. So guys, if we are to use the crossing to actually ascertain this, so if we are to cross this, we are going to have capital R, small r, and then capital R, small r. So we'll go again. We'll have first R to the first R, and that's capital R, capital R. First R to the second R, that's capital R, small r. So we have second R to the first R, and that's capital R, small r. So we now have, lastly, we have second R to the second R, and that's small r, and that's the homozygous recessive. So you see that there's just one homozygous recessive here, and then all these are having roundness, and since roundness is dominant, they will possess this phenotypic feature of dominance. So we have 1, 2, 3 for roundness, and then 1 for wrinkle. So guys, that's the end of this. If you enjoyed this lesson, please give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe to this channel if you're not yet a subscriber. Also, if you have any question regarding this video, please drop your question on the comment section below, and we'll ensure to give you a response. Also, try to share this video with your friends to enable us reach out to more people. Thank you for watching this video, and see you next time.